Honestly, the biggest opposition that you will have is going to be with yourself. It is you who's going to oppose the changes in your life more so than anybody else. I promise you. Hey there, it's Nika Smith, and welcome back to the Great Big Life TV, where we talk about all things midlife transition. If you have been following me for the last few videos, you know that I am talking about something called the Great Big Life Cycle, which is essentially from transition to transformation in this midlife journey. And it's a framework I use to help people really walk through this journey, right? To get from this place of stagnation, of not having clarity, to I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to be doing right now in my life, to actually knowing exactly what you're supposed to do and where you're supposed to go. And we've talked about 4 different parts of the cycle. The elements in this cycle include the transition, the edit, the exploration, the implementation, and the transformation. And today we're going to be talking about the implementation. You know, I have a story about my own implementation, which is really my story about perimenopause, right? The dreaded perimenopause. So I started having perimenopausal symptoms probably late 30s, definitely early 40s. And I didn't know they were perimenopausal symptoms because I didn't know what perimenopause was, first of all. And before that, I was someone who had a pretty decent morning routine, right? I would wake up, I would do my prayers, devotion. I would walk my dog, eat my breakfast, get ready for work, go about my day, do whatever I needed to do. And it worked great until perimenopause decided to rear its ugly head. And it really disrupted really my whole life, not just my morning routine, but it really disrupted really my entire life. It impacted my energy levels. I didn't just hop out of bed, and I didn't really feel like doing no devotional. I didn't want to pray. I didn't feel like walking. I was tired. I had mood swings. I had lots and lots of brain fog. I had night sweats. I didn't have the symptoms of menopause that people talk about, which were hot flashes and those kinds. I didn't have that. So I didn't know that with perimenopause, you could still have a cycle and have menopausal symptoms. I didn't know any of that. So I struggled for a long time just really trying to figure out, okay, what is wrong with me? I went to my primary care physician and just said, hey, listen, I might need to be tested because I might have like early onset dementia or Alzheimer's. And I wasn't like joking. It wasn't funny to me because I was scared. And she asked me my age, and I was, I don't know, early 40s, maybe 42, 43. And she said, oh, no, you need to schedule with your OBGYN because you're likely going into menopause. And she talked a little bit about perimenopause. And that is when my eyes opened to, oh, something different is happening here. And with that change, I had to redo my whole morning routine, morning schedule. Because what I couldn't do is wait until the middle of today to do thinking work. I had to do it first thing in the morning. If I wanted to be creative, if I needed to send an email, if I needed to, really think through a problem at work or just something I was working on, I had to do that almost as soon as I woke up. Otherwise, I didn't have it. I didn't have the focus. I didn't have the energy to really string together 2 really good complete sentences. And once I realized I couldn't do the same morning routine the same way that I had been doing in my edit, I started exploring other ways that I could, have a different type of morning routine. And that's what I did. And once I implemented that right into my life, it's worked so much better. So now, not every day do I get up and do thinking work, but every other day I do. I will sit down, see what I need to do that's creative, something I need to really think through and work on that. And then I get to exercise and do all those other things. And this is what the implementation is all about. It is about daily intentional actions to lead you to the you want to be. And it has to be intentional. You have to put yourself on the calendar. You have to put the changed you on the calendar. If not, it won't happen. It will not work. I will be the first to tell you that implementing a change during your transition and transformation is really going to be the hardest work you'll do, because you're going to find that you're going to face more challenges and more obstacles when you're making a change. First of all, the old you is holding on for dear life. It does not want to leave. It don't want to go. It still wants to be there, still wearing those old clothes, right? But the new you, the version of you that has life and vitality, is waiting, right, for you to implement, because it can't just do it on its own. So you have to be intentional. And the framework I like to use is essentially to put yourself on your calendar. Put yourself on the calendar. Whatever it is, put it on the calendar. So when I talked about my own process of changing my morning routine, I had to put that on the calendar to remind myself before I walk the dog, before I eat breakfast, before I do a bunch of other things, I need to spend at least 1 hour, a minimum of 1 hour doing creative and thinking work because that is where I am the best at this time in my life. It's just the truth. I could fight it if I want to. I tried, it didn't work. I have to go and do this way now. And I put it on my calendar. It sounds crazy, but it worked. I'm not even gonna lie. I put it on my calendar, and so in the morning time, I know what I'm doing at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 12 p.m., and so on and so forth, right? I know exactly what I'm doing. And that helped me to begin to implement this into my life so that eventually, like, I don't have to have reminders. To do it, right? I don't have to have those. I know exactly what I need and when I need it, but doing, setting those reminders and putting myself on a calendar is important. So I encourage you to also do the same activity. So putting yourself on the calendar and taking small incremental steps to the next version of you is key here because that's where you begin to gather momentum. You can do all of the things all at one time. You can. I don't necessarily recommend that as a coach. I think you should really take small steps and just work your way, towards that. Especially for those of us that have really busy lives and have a million things to do. Like I can't overhaul my whole life in a day. Okay, sorry, I can't do it. Some of y'all can. Good luck. Congratulations. I can't do that. For those of us who can't, we can change. Now, I also feel that incremental change is the best way because it's consistent and it just becomes a part of who you are, right? It becomes off the calendar and into your life, right? Which is what we want. We want to actually walk this thing out. So in the implementation, you have explored the questions and now you get to live into some of those answers that we talked about, right? And this is what we get to do. We take the time to do that. And I will tell you that making a change and implementing something new for the next version of your life, or really the next half of your life, it's not easy. You're going to have challenges. You're going to have obstacles. You're going to have people saying, "What you doing? Why you doing that?" Right? You're real, and the biggest, honestly, the biggest opposition that you will have is going to be with yourself. It is you who's going to oppose the changes in your life more so than anybody else. I promise you. It's not your husband and it's not your kids. It's not the job. It's not this. It's you. Because it's easy to say, "Oh, I want to change. Oh, I want to do this. I want to, I just want something new. I want a breath of fresh air." Okay, well then breathe, honey. Breathe the new air, right? It's easy to say. It's not always easy to do, right? Simple, but not easy. That's one of my That's one of the things I say. There's a lot of things that are simple in the world, they just ain't easy to do. So it's simple to say, not easy to do, which is why you have to be very intentional. You have to decide, like, this is where I want my life to go. This is the next half of it. This is the next 6 months. This is the next year. Whatever it is, you have to do that. And all change doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be some big, thing you're doing. You got to go cut all your hair off, okay? Like me. You don't have to move to another state. You can. You have to go buy a brand new car. You don't have to do any of that. It really is about just the little steps in doing. What are we doing on a small scale every day that is leading us to the change that we're called to? And in midlife, this is harder because we've lived so much life up until this point. But it can also be easier because we also know the things, or we should know the things that don't work anymore. And so with that, we say, okay, well, I know this ain't gonna work, and I know that ain't gonna work. I've never tried this, so let me see. Right? Let me just see. So this is an opportunity to give yourself a chance. If nobody else gives you a chance or an opportunity, you give yourself the chance. This is it. So drop in the comments your implementation. What did you do to add yourself to your own calendar? I'd love to know. And that's my time today. Thanks for hanging out with me. Come back for the last phase of the Great Big Life Cycle, the transformation. You don't want to miss it. Until then, be good. Bye.